in return, sales is going to get better leads and better relationships, better nurturing from marketing to help their sales process. So yes, it's a win-win. Just break the silo. Yeah, break the silo.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a good marketing catchphrase for a marketing-oriented video. We'll see if we keep that.
Hello, David. I'm so happy to have you today. It's funny because usually you're the one asking the questions, but today I really wanted to talk to you because you have such an interesting background. I know you've worked for a high-tech manufacturing startup. You've also worked for a Fortune 500 company in the past, and now you're doing digital transformation. And so you really have the background necessary to talk about marketing automation and CRM and the relationship between the two. So I really want to hear you about that. So what would you say is the most important? What are the key concepts to start with when it comes to marketing automation for manufacturing companies?
Yeah, thanks, Valerie. If I think about manufacturing, especially in the B2B space, often your go-to-market is through different channels. You might have direct customers, you might have distributors, you might have resellers, you might have value-added resellers, integrators, installers, etc., specifiers. So one of the challenges in many B2B companies is dealing with all these channels. And as a marketing team in those companies, you have to, I would say, give each channel some love, right? Because in your go-to-market chain, if one of these pieces is broken, then it might break the entire chain. So you have to take care of all these people with your marketing, making sure you reach out to them in a relevant way to engage them, and use these channels for your sales process. So you need to often create a lot of content for different people. Often, and that's a bad habit of B2B manufacturing companies, they have very small marketing teams compared to the size of their operations, right? If you have thousands of SKUs, many product lines, and you only have a small, tiny marketing team, that's an issue. Where the CRM helps is it will help give the marketing team all the information they need to properly target each of these groups. So that is the main pillar. So you need to target many types of audiences, but you need to know who they are. And your CRM is a big help to do that. As well as from the CRM, you can see at the marketing level, well, where are all these stakeholders in their life cycle? Is it a new lead for this type of stakeholder, or are they a current customer or in the process of purchasing, etc.? So those are big blocks that are super important to think about.
Right. But I don't want to say high level here. I mean, we want the quick wins. We want the tangible examples. So do you have any examples that you could give as to how to really do an efficient marketing automation?
Yeah. So again, linking with the CRM. So here I'm taking for granted that you have your marketing platform integrated into your CRM, and here's what you can do with it when you have that situation. So if they're well integrated, all your marketing lists should be, I would say, self-maintained by the data you have in the CRM. So you know exactly who's an end customer, who's a distributor, who's a specifier, and so on and so forth. So all these segmentations, yes, you can do some at the marketing level with the information you have, but you don't always have all the information. So your CRM is really helping your segmentation. So you can then send the right content to the right person at the right moment. And because you also see where they are in their life cycle, well, you send that content specifically at the right moment. So having your list, your segmentations up to date, and knowing exactly where they are in their purchasing cycle, or if they're not a purchaser, to still know what's their status as a partner or some other stakeholder.
Okay, so if I'm a manufacturing company, I have my CRM, I now have my automation tool. The first step is what? It would be segmentation?
For sure, yeah. Segmentation is the most critical thing that is the easiest to do when you have both tied together.
Okay, that's it. So that's like the quick win. That's the little small action that is going to trigger the whole.
Well, so it's if it's well integrated, it's easy to do, but it's a big thing. So it's an easy to do thing when you're well integrated, but it's a huge thing for your marketing team. Okay.
Do you have other examples of small actions that we could get started with just to start our automations?
One of the things, again, that is low effort is if the systems are well integrated. Well, yes, you're going to see your CRM data from your marketing platform, But you can also enable your sales teams or your business development teams or your partner managers to see marketing information from the CRM. So here, again, it's there's nothing to do once it's well integrated for the marketer, so it consumes no time, but you're able to expose to, again, your sales departments, inside sales, outside sales, what are the marketing assets that people interact with. And then your sales team can use that as conversation starters. Or they can use it as a reason to reach out to somebody they already knew, a relationship they were nurturing, and use it as a door to brainstorm. So what's the next step in the relationship? What's important for the customer or for the potential customer? What kind of solution are they looking for? Because you can see what they viewed or they downloaded or they interacted with.
Mm-hmm. And we often hear marketing automation is all about sending the right content to the right people at the right time. So then does it mean that if you start with your segmentation, then it's going to be something like a content festival? I mean, the content then is super important, but that means you have a lot to produce, right?
That's true, and that is one of the places where, again, in manufacturing culture, very often marketing team is very small, and yes, you can't nurture people if you don't have content. So that's a challenge for all marketing teams. Figure out a way to produce more content faster, especially in today's world. People consume tons of content, and if you don't have velocity in producing content, you're going to be limited in what you can accomplish. And actually here, your limitation is not going to come from your marketing automation. It's going to come from your volume of content. But because it's very easy to automate nurturing journeys with different pieces of content if you have the content. Producing the content takes way more time and effort and money than actually setting up some automations.
Mm-hmm. So content is an important content. Like, it's something important. Otherwise, you cannot do your automations, right? Are there other things that companies or manufacturers tend to put an importance on, but they shouldn't necessarily because it's not the priority?
I'm going to answer that in a second. I just want to bounce on what you mentioned on content. And here, of course, there's different kinds of content. Mm-hmm. But today, all the information in the world is on the internet, and everybody has access to the internet. So everybody has all the information in the world. So as a marketer, are you going to produce just product pushing content? Yes, you can do that if you have a new product line. Yes, you can promote your content. Hey, here's something new. It's informative, that's relevant. But beyond that, if you're just pushing all the time, you're not being relevant to your audiences and you're not being helpful. This is where you can get clever. And here, I think the word relevant and helpful is key. Is the content you're sending to the specifier, to the distributor, to your end customer, is the content helping them do their job? So put yourself in their shoes. What is content that would help them do their job? Because it's good that you're informing them of your product and maybe your pricing, but can you go a step further? Because when they consume content that help them do their job, the content they're watching is yours, then your relationship is super tight with them. And if they need something else, they'll say, well, where am I going to go? Am I going to go to companies who send me content that is not helping me and that is not relevant, it's just pushing? Or am I going to go to the company that is sending me free content that is helping me in my day-to-day? And here you can actually fill the gaps in their own organizations. How to sell your product better, how to specify your product better, how to do a better job as a specifier, what are distributor best practices. Be relevant, be helpful as a marketer. It's not about pushing stuff. Sometimes yes, many times no.
Okay. So whenever you're creating your content, which is super important, we just mentioned that, well, you need to put yourself in the customer's shoe. And so this would be another basic thing to get started with. So you do your segmentation, your personas, and then each persona, what are their challenges, what are their needs, and this is what you focus your content on, right?
That's exactly correct. And here, this might lead you also to break some silos. Another thing I've seen, and I've never accepted it. So in companies, there's always silos. The worst silo to me is probably between sales and marketing. There should not be a silo. If in your organization there's a silo between sales and marketing, you just break that silo. If you're in the same office, it's easy. Salespeople are slippery. They don't have time for you. But if you're in the same office, if you go see them and talk to them, they can't escape. So as a marketer, you just go and see them and they can't escape. You're physically there. Now with COVID, with remote work, some of the salespeople that might give you input on how the customer is thinking, because the salesperson is talking to the customer. So the salesperson knows how the customer is thinking. So you want their input, but maybe you're all working remotely, so you can't physically corner a sales VP, sales director, or salesperson, or a product manager. So let's say you cannot physically corner them. I mean, try to book them, of course, in meetings. So it's easier if you're in the same office. Everybody's busy, but as a marketer, do not accept zero communication with your sales team. Go to your sales team and ask them, what is the customer thinking about? Because they have their fingers on the pulse of the market and they know. So don't accept silence. Go and see them and get the information out of them.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's going to help them as well. It's going to help sales if you do a really focused content on their needs and their challenges. The handoff to sales is just going to be easier afterwards, right?
Exactly. Your content's going to be more relevant. And in return, sales is going to get better leads and better relationships, better nurturing from marketing to help their sales process. So yes, it's a win-win. Just break the silo. Yeah, break the silo.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good marketing catchphrase for a marketing-oriented video. We'll see if we keep that.
But it's true. I've seen it so much. The silo you're mentioning between the sales and marketing, it's something that we really see often. And so if we go back to the key elements, so the first step would be, well, your lists, your segmentation, then define your personas, then talk to sales because they have a lot of information about each of those personas, their challenges, their needs. What are the questions they often ask to sales reps? So really talk with sales and get your content straight. So those are really the important part of automation. And then what would you say that some companies tend to put focus on when they shouldn't be? Since those are the elements that are important, but what else do they focus on that maybe they shouldn't?
Yeah. I wouldn't say as a marketer that things shouldn't be focused on, because as a marketer, you always want more. What I would say is make sure you're operational. So whatever your strategy is for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, etc., your first step is start by being operational. Because if you have no velocity, if you have no content production capability, you can talk about metrics and statistics and KPIs all the time. At least start by setting you up to be able to do stuff. Are you able to do stuff? Because if you have metrics about zero activities, you've got nothing. So metrics are super cool, but first make sure you're operational, make sure you have capacity and velocity to act. And then yes, once you're able to act in the market, then look at your KPIs, look at your stats and optimize. But if you have analysis paralysis about metrics and KPIs and you're not even operational, you're doing things in the wrong order.
I love that. Analysis paralysis. So it's true. Sometimes we really focus on reporting KPIs, but you need to get started first and then you do the reporting. So you would say that reporting needs to come after, right? All of those things.
Yes, and again, it depends the size of your organization. So there are some medium-sized manufacturers that have been so focused on sales relationship and distribution channels that their marketing is very, very thin. So if you're in that situation, get operational. If you're a larger organization and you're already up and running, then yes, by all means, use your KPIs, use your metrics to see which campaigns actually worked, which initiatives actually worked, and double down on what works. And yes, be able to say, you know what, we've been doing this for 10 years or 20 or 30 years. And if we look at the metrics, it's no longer working like it was in the past. It's okay to stop doing something that no longer works, even if it worked for decades. It's okay. You have to start new things, and sometimes you have to stop doing old things.
Absolutely, because everything is evolving so fast, right?
Yeah.
So I'm listening to us. We could talk about this for probably a whole hour, We might do a part 2 of this interview, but thank you so much for explaining all of this with me. It was super interesting, David. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely in for part 2. So let's catch up soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.